You ever have one of those moments where your whole damn world shifts in a split second? Mine was last Tuesday night. We were eating leftover Thai food in silence, me poking at Cold Pad CU. Him scrolling on his phone like I wasn't even there. Then, out of nowhere, he goes, "I think I'm done. With us. With intimacy. With pretending." WTF, right? No buildup. No warning. Just a casual fuck you slipped in between bites of tofu. Rewind. I'm Maya. 36. Architect. Spent the last 8 years married to Liam, a guy who used to teach yoga but now peddles spiritual courses online about reclaiming your masculine energy. Whatever the hell that means. We met in Portland, moved to Austin, bought a cute little townhouse with big windows and even bigger dreams. Liam used to write me notes and leave them in my sketchbooks. Now he leaves dirty mugs all over the house and lectures me about emotional sovereignty. Spoiler, that's code for I don't owe you anything anymore. I should have seen it coming. Over the past year, he got real into those alpha podcast types. Joe Rogan-light dudes with smooth voices and zero accountability. Suddenly, sex was spiritually draining, and intimacy was a capitalist illusion. Meanwhile, I'm busting my ass managing clients and drawing blueprints at 2 a.m. just to keep our life afloat. I remember asking him 2 months ago, "Are we okay?" He looked up from his smoothie like I just asked if the earth was flat. "You're projecting again." Babe. Projecting. Right. So yeah, that Tuesday, when he hit me with "I'm done," I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I just sat there, blinking at the man who used to hold me like I was something sacred. "You're just deciding that I asked." Liam nodded, all calm and smug. I've transcended traditional relationship dynamics. Transcended my guy. You barely remember to flush. The rest of the night was awkward as hell. He slept in our bed. I took the couch. And not because he told me to, because I physically couldn't be in the same space. His words were like a grenade with the pin still spinning on the floor. I laid there, stiff as a board, staring at the ceiling fan thinking, is this it? 8 years, 4 houseplants, 1 mortgage, down the drain with 1 pretentious monologue. That night, something in me shifted, not with fireworks. Quiet, like the click of a lock from the inside. The next morning, I woke up before sunrise, sat at the dining table in silence. No coffee, just raw silence. I opened my laptop and Googled how to emotionally detach from your husband. Google was like, get a therapist. Fair. But therapy wasn't step 1. Step 1 was reclaiming something. Space. Sanity. Dignity. I started by moving all our joint subscriptions to my name. Netflix, Spotify, DoorDash. You want to transcend. Liam, then transcend your own damn Hulu password. He noticed by day 2. Babe, did you change the Netflix login? I looked at him like he was a delivery guy who got the wrong house. Yeah, I needed clarity. You're being petty. No, I'm setting boundaries. Isn't that your whole thing? That shut him up. I didn't stop there. I made a new morning ritual, 5:30 a.m. alarm, 30-minute run, cold shower, herbal tea, silence. No Liam. No bullshit. By the end of the week, I was sleeping deeper, breathing better, sketching again. It hit me I'd been orbiting a man who thought standing still was enlightenment. And I was done being his gravity. One night, I came home late from a site visit. He was on the couch, shirtless, watching some documentary about Tantra. Typical. Where have you been? Working. He nodded like that was some new hobby I'd picked up. You're barely around anymore. I dropped my bag. Yeah, feels good, doesn't it? He didn't get it. He never does. See, the thing about detachment, it's not loud. It doesn't slam doors or scream. It just stops showing up. Quietly. Steadily. Unapologetically. I wasn't leaving, not yet, but I was already gone. That's when I started collecting receipts. Not literal ones though, those too. emotional receipts, voice memos, screenshots, bank transfers. Dance from clients he coached who complained about being scammed. I wasn't planning revenge. I was building truth armor. Because deep down, I knew something else was coming. And oh boy, was I right. A week after the big declaration, Liam started acting like nothing had happened. Like he hadn't nuked our relationship over Pad CU. He still made his matcha every morning with his loud-ass frother. Still walked around shirtless in those sad gray joggers. Still played his little YouTube videos about how men need to decentralize emotional labor or whatever flavor of the week ideology he was spoon-fed by his bro guru circle. Except now, I wasn't playing along. I didn't ask how his day was. I didn't sit next to him on the couch. I didn't offer my usual polite head nods during his TED Talk rants. If he noticed, he didn't say, but I saw it. In the way he lingered near the kitchen when I was cooking. In how he'd ask vague questions like, "You seem busy lately," and pretend he didn't care about the answer. Too late. Liam, I gave you 8 years of busy and holding space and being the calm one. I'm not your emotional babysitter anymore. That weekend, he had some online retreat thing, a digital masculine rebirth intensive, which sounds like a midlife crisis wrapped in a PDF. I knew what that meant. He'd be live streaming for hours, probably from our bedroom. Fine by me. I had plans anyway. Not fake plans either. Actual, full-day plans. I met up with Ava, my best friend from college, who Liam always low-key hated because she didn't respect boundaries. Translation, she saw through his bullshit and said so. Over oat milk lattes and spicy huevos rancheros. I told her everything. I didn't hold back. Not this time. He unilaterally ended our marriage, but still expects me to do the laundry. Make it make sense, I said, stabbing a hash brown with unnecessary force. Ava blinked. Wait. He ended the physical relationship, but not the benefits. Exactly. I'm basically his unpaid life manager with occasional hugs. She leaned forward, whispering like we were planning a heist. You need to get out, but like get out smart. That was the moment I realized I'd already started. I'd been squirreling away receipts, not just to feel powerful, but because deep down, I knew this was going to get worse before it got better. You don't dismantle a fake guru's fantasy world without some blowback. And I was right. 3 days later, I found it. An email, left open on his laptop like an idiot. Subject line: Thank you for sharing your pain, brother. The message was from a woman named Serena, client, follower, cult member, whatever. She thanked him for helping her release patriarchal guilt and said his story about being emotionally abandoned by a controlling wife gave her hope. I reread that sentence 6 times. Then I clicked through his sent folder. There it was. An email blast to his entire coaching list. A full-on, emotionally manipulative sob story about how I had refused to support his spiritual evolution, how I was the one who withheld intimacy, how he had been the victim. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't even blink. He'd weaponized my silence, my restraint, my goddamn dignity. I wanted to scream, or cry, or both. But I didn't. Instead, I took a screenshot. Then another. And another. Emails. DMs. Bank logs showing payments from female clients that went into a private PayPal account I didn't know existed. Over 14,000. This man had monetized our imploding marriage while I was surviving on iced coffee and cortisol. He was making bank off playing the broken husband card. Screw that. I called Ava that night. We're going nuclear. She didn't even ask for context. Good. I already have wine and a spreadsheet open. The plan was simple. I'd let him keep talking. Keep lying. Keep building his little empire of half-truths and soft lighting. And when the time was right, I'd light a match. But first, I needed to get my ducks in a row. I met with a lawyer. A good one. The kind who doesn't smile much and wears glasses low on her nose like she's already 5 steps ahead. She looked at the documents I'd collected and said, "He's emotionally exploiting you for profit. It's disgusting but also actionable." That word stuck with me, actionable. Suddenly, I wasn't just a heartbroken wife. I was a case study in spiritual grifting. While Liam was doing breathwork in our bedroom, I opened a new bank account, transferred 50% of our savings, my half, fair and square. Then I created my own subscription service, a real one, real art. See, I'd been taking photos again, architectural stuff, skylines, shadow play. Little moments of beauty you only notice when you stop giving a damn about someone else's chaos. I launched a tiny blog, Blueprints and Boundaries. Cute, right? It wasn't about profit. It was about proof that I was still here, that I could create something honest while he built his house of lies. The more I posted, the more people followed. Women mostly. Women who knew exactly what it felt like to be backgrounded in their own life. Meanwhile, Liam kept on preaching. He didn't notice I stopped wearing my ring, or that I'd started sleeping with the door locked, or that I didn't attend his dumb live stream Q&A on emotional detox for couples. What he did notice when a woman named Marlene commented on one of his live streams. "Didn't your wife design that house you keep filming in?" Seems ironic. No. That night, he asked me, "Are you trying to sabotage my business?" I just blinked. What business? The one where you defame your wife for tips. His jaw actually dropped. "You don't understand what I'm doing." "You're right," I said. "I don't understand how you lie to hundreds of women and still sleep like a baby." He stormed out. I didn't follow. Instead, I posted a photo. A black and white of our bedroom window, half lit by morning sun. Caption, "You can't build light from someone else's shadow." It went viral. Not internet viral, but enough to get me a message from a gallery curator in Austin. "Would love to feature your work in our spring exhibit." The same day I signed the exhibit contract, Liam emailed his mailing list another essay about forgiveness and letting go of toxic partners. I printed it out, folded it into a paper crane, set it on fire. The smoke smelled like closure. I wasn't done yet, but I was closer than ever. And Liam, he had no idea what was coming next. This morning, I woke up to silence. Not peaceful silence, the kind that makes your skin crawl because you know something's off. Liam wasn't in bed, not that it meant anything anymore. I'd gotten used to the distance, but this time the house felt emptied. Not physically, spiritually. The way a room feels after someone's told a lie so big it's still echoing through the walls. I walked into the kitchen. His laptop was gone. So was his mic, ring light, and the weird crystals he kept stacked in a bowl like spiritual Pokemon. That was the first sign. Then I checked my email. There it was. Subject: Final Notice. Unauthorized content violation. It was from a woman named Clara, lawyer, representing a wellness brand Liam recently signed with. Apparently, he'd submitted some of our photos together as part of his healing journey story without my consent. I nearly spit out my coffee. He'd literally used our old anniversary pictures. Photos I took, ones I edited, ones I had cried over when he forgot that date 2 years ago. My blood boiled so hot I had to sit down. The audacity. The absolute delusion. The man who told me he needed to retreat into celibacy was now branding himself as a softboy survivor of a loveless, high-control marriage. The second email hit 30 minutes later. From Marlene, the same woman who commented on his live stream. Turns out she wasn't just a random follower. She was a freelance writer doing a feature on digital healing influencers who monetize personal pain. She asked if I was open to a quote. I laughed, out loud, alone in my kitchen, holding a forkful of cold scrambled eggs. Hell yes, I'm open. We talked for an hour. I told her everything. From the night he decided we were done to the emails, to the coaching scams, to the fake narratives. I sent screenshots, bank logs, dates, voicemails, the whole goddamn binder of emotional receipts. She said, "This is gold. Do you want to be anonymous?" Nope. I gave her my name. Full. No more hiding. 2 days later, the piece went live. Title: Grief for Sale. When wellness turns into weaponry. It blew up. I expected a couple shares, maybe some likes. What I didn't expect was the avalanche. DMs. Emails. Women. Men. People who had followed Liam. Some who had paid for his coaching. Others who had been ghosted, gaslit, or blamed when they asked for refunds. Turns out, I wasn't the only one he had manipulated. I was just the one who refused to stay silent. That night, Liam came home. He walked in like nothing had happened. Like his little empire wasn't crumbling on Twitter and Reddit and every group chat from here to San Diego. "Hey," he said, setting his keys down. "We need to talk." I looked up from my laptop and calmly replied, "Oh, you want to talk now?" He ran a hand through his hair, the same move he used to do before asking for a back massage or when he knew he'd messed up but didn't want to say sorry. That article was exaggerated. He started. I closed the laptop. I gave her direct quotes. "I have the receipts. You know I do." He didn't respond. Just stood there. Quiet. Almost sheepish. And for a second, a split second, I felt bad. Until I remembered the PayPal transfers and the crying emails from women he guilt-tripped into silence. He sat down across from me. "I think we need to reset. Take a break. Clear the energy." I laughed. Actually laughed. "A break? You declared emotional celibacy like it was a TED Talk, and now you want to reset." "Maya, come on. We were both under pressure." "Yeah, I was under pressure from your delusions and the weight of keeping this house functioning while you meditated through reality." He flinched. Not much, but enough. "Look," he said, softening his voice like I hadn't heard it all before. "We were good once. We could be again. No, we were convenient once. I carried the weight so you could pretend you were floating." Silence. "You're really ending this." "You ended it," I said, pointing at the kitchen island. "Right there. Over leftover Thai food." His face dropped. "You really don't see it, do you?" I asked. "You built a whole identity around being the one left behind. And now that people know the truth, you're here hoping I'll save your image." He stood up, angry now. "This is who you are." Then vindictive, petty. "No. This is who I've become because I stayed quiet while you rewrote our story for strangers." He stormed out. I didn't follow. That night, I slept better than I had in months. The next morning, I signed the final gallery agreement. My photos, ones Liam had once called distracting hobbies, were going to be featured in a full solo show. And then something wild happened. A production assistant from a docuseries reached out. She'd read the article and wanted to know if I'd be willing to speak on record for an episode on emotional misuse in spiritual spaces. I thought about it. Thought about the consequences. The whispers. The mutual friends who'd say I was airing dirty laundry. And then I remembered every night I laid in that bed, wondering what I had done wrong. While he was preaching to the internet about how women were emotionally vampiric. So yeah, I said yes. When I told Ava, she just raised her coffee mug and said, "Damn right you did." A week later, Liam's coaching site went down. His brand partners dropped him. A few of his brothers in healing tried to defend him. But receipts are powerful. And screenshots, they don't lie. One of the last DMs I got before I logged off social media for a while was from Serena, the woman from that email. She wrote, "I'm sorry. I didn't know. Thank you for speaking up. I hope you're okay." And I wasn't happy yet. I wasn't healed or whole or any of the buzzwords Liam used to pretend he was evolving. But I was real. I'd finally stopped shrinking to protect someone else's fragile masculinity wrapped in enlightenment branding. The day of the gallery opening, I stood in front of a black and white photo of a cracked window reflecting a blood orange sky. A woman stood beside me, reading the caption. She turned and asked, "Are you the artist?" I nodded. She smiled. "Your work feels like breathing after holding your breath too long." I almost cried, not because of the compliment, but because I realized she was right. For 8 years, I'd held my breath waiting for someone to love me the way I loved them. And now, I was finally exhaling, the day after the gallery opening. I woke up in a hotel bed, not fancy, just clean, quiet, mine. I'd booked it weeks ago. Just one night. No dramatic getaway. Just space. A soft pillow that didn't carry his smell. A mini fridge filled with overpriced sodas I didn't care about. And silence that didn't feel loaded. I sat there, in the robe, sipping bitter hotel coffee, staring out at Austin's skyline. For the first time in years, I wasn't calculating anyone else's feelings. No, what mood is he in today? No, how do I say this so he doesn't spiral? Just me. Free. Exhausted. Yes. But finally untangled from the web I kept trying to fix while he was still spinning it. Ava called around 10. You alive? She asked. Barely, I said. My feet hurt from standing all night. But yeah, alive. More than ever, actually. We talked a bit mostly about the art show. About how many people came. About how strangers leaned into the photos like they were reading my soul one crack, one reflection at a time. I'm proud of you, she said before hanging up. Not for surviving him, for choosing you. That hit. Because for so long, surviving him felt like the goal. Getting through another conversation. Another guilt trip. Another eye roll when I wanted connection. I kept thinking, if I can just hold on a little longer. But there's a difference between holding on and holding yourself hostage. That afternoon, I went home. I expected drama. Slammed doors. Some pseudo-spiritual guilt monologue. Instead, I found a note. Just a sticky note. Yellow. Crooked on the fridge. Going to Tulum. Need space. Don't wait up. No signature. No apology. No respect. Tulum, of course. The man couldn't commit to laundry but booked a soul journey retreat within 24 hours of being exposed. Classic Liam. Escape over accountability. Spiritual bypass with a side of beach. I didn't text him. Didn't ask when he was coming back. Didn't care. I poured myself a glass of wine at 3 p.m. and opened my laptop. I updated my blog. New post title, Don't Wait Up. I talked about the art show. The article. The fallout. I didn't name him, never needed to. People knew. Women wrote me every day now. One of them, Eliza, wrote, thank you. I didn't know what I was going through had a name. Until I read your words. That one cracked something open in me. Because when you're in it, when you're being minimized, manipulated, emotionally milked, it feels invisible. It feels like you're just too much, too needy, too broken. But I wasn't broken. I was just too whole for a man who needed someone to shrink so he could feel big. I logged off and took a walk. No AirPods, no agenda, just shoes on pavement and air in my lungs. I walked past the little market Liam used to complain about because everything's overpriced and full of yuppies. I walked in, bought $18 cheese, a rosemary loaf, and a tiny jar of fig jam because I could, and then I saw him. Not Liam, not anyone I knew, really. Just a man, mid-40s maybe, sitting on a bench with his daughter, sharing a sandwich, laughing. She leaned her head on his shoulder, and he let her. It wasn't romantic. It wasn't some cinematic meet-cute, but it gutted me. Because I realized I never had that with Liam. Not the comfort, not the simplicity, not even the stillness. With him, everything had terms, conditions, proclamations. Even love had a disclaimer subject to spiritual interpretation. Void where accountability is required. That night, I lit a candle. Not for healing, not for him. For mourning, I grieved the version of me who believed love had to be earned. The version who begged for crumbs and called them communion. The version who stayed silent just to keep the peace. And then I started packing. Not because he told me to. Because I didn't want to sleep another night under a roof that doubled as a stage for his victim complex. I boxed my art supplies, my cameras, my mugs, my books, left his stuff untouched. He could come back to whatever echo was left. By midnight, I'd signed the lease on a loft across town. Tiny. Too expensive. No parking. Perfect. I moved in 3 days later. The first night in the loft, I didn't unpack. I ordered pizza, sat on the floor, ate straight from the box. No table, no plates, no expectations. And I cried. Not the weak kind. The cleansing kind. The kind where your ribcage heaves and your face looks ridiculous, but your soul goes. Finally. The next morning, I hung one photo on the wall. Not of Liam, not of us. A photo I took the week after he declared our marriage over. A single daffodil pushing through cracked cement near the construction site I'd worked on. Caption written in pen at the bottom, even here. Something gross. Ava visited that weekend. She walked in, looked around, and said, "This is the most you place I've ever seen." We drank wine on the floor, talked shit, laughed till my face hurt. Then she got quiet. Looked at me with those best friend eyes that see through everything. "You okay?" she asked. I nodded. "I'm not healed, but I'm free." She smiled. "Good. That's step one." And that night, lying on a mattress on the floor with boxes still sealed around me, I dreamed of nothing. No nightmares, no metaphors, just quiet. The kind that doesn't haunt you, the kind that holds you, and for the first time in forever. I didn't wake up checking for someone else's shadow. I just woke up. A few weeks after I moved into the loft, I finally stopped flinching when my phone buzzed. For a while, every ping made me brace for some passive-aggressive Liam nonsense. A guilt trip. A subtle jab disguised as reflection. Or worse, an apology that wasn't really an apology. You know the type. "I'm sorry if you felt like I hurt you." But lately, silence. Nothing. Ghost town. And God, it was peaceful. Until he broke it. Of course. It was a Thursday. Rainy. I was editing photos for a client when my phone lit up with his name. I stared at it. Debated. Then curiosity won. I picked up. "Maya?" he said. Voice low and fake gentle. The same voice he used when he wanted to soften a blow. "Liam, I'm back from Tulum." No one asked. He paused. Didn't expect that. "I've been thinking a lot," he started, "about everything. About you. About us." And I realized I wasn't fully present. I didn't handle things right. I stayed quiet, let him squirm. "I was scared," he continued, "of losing myself. Of not being seen." "You mean scared of being held accountable?" Silence. "Then I miss you." I snorted, loud. "No. You miss the ecosystem I built around you. You miss the unpaid emotional labor, the unpaid everything." "That's not fair." "Oh no, let's talk fairness." I carried our life. While you journaled about energy misalignment, I made sure the mortgage was paid. I fed us. I kept the lights on. I stayed while you spiritually pieced out. He exhaled sharply, like I was attacking him with truth. "I just want a chance to fix this," he said. "I'm willing to do the work now." "No, Liam. You're willing to do the work now that your followers are gone. Your money dried up. And the last woman who paid you for coaching left you on red." "That's not true." "It is. And you know what? I don't even care. I'm not your rebound redemption arc." I hung up. Didn't wait for a reply. Didn't shake. Didn't cry. Just looked out the window at the gray, drizzly street below and felt solid. Like all the parts of me that had been held together with duct tape and deep breaths finally fused into something unbreakable. The next day, he showed up at the gallery. I should have known he would. It was my first official showing an evening event with wine and tiny overpriced crackers. The space was filled with people, soft jazz, and the kind of polite chatter that makes your skin buzz a little. And there he was, in the doorway, wearing a linen shirt and that lost boy expression he probably practiced in the mirror. He walked up to me like we were old friends. "I just wanted to see your work," he said. "I'm proud of you." "Don't be," I said. "You didn't build this." People nearby turned their heads. I didn't care. "You look amazing," he added, eyes scanning me like he had any right. I stepped back. "Liam, this isn't your stage. I'm not trying to make it about me. You literally made everything about you. You took our collapse and turned it into content. You dragged me through the dirt while preaching peace." He winced. I was in pain. So was I. "You didn't see me monetizing it." He blinked. "That hit? You don't get to be proud of me now," I added. "You don't get to show up when it's shiny and forget how ugly you made it." Then I turned, walked away, left him standing there, hands in pockets, looking small in a room that was finally mine. Later that night, after the crowd thinned and I was stacking empty wine cups into a trash bag, the gallery owner came up. "That guy?" she said. "The one in linen. What's his deal?" "Old story," I replied. "No longer in print." She laughed. "You want him banned from future events?" "Let him come," I said. "Let him see everything he lost." The next morning, I got another DM. A woman. Said she used to follow Liam. Took one of his courses. Felt weird about it, but couldn't name why until she read the article and found my blog. I thought I was crazy. She wrote, "But your story made me feel sane again." That's when it clicked. This wasn't just about me anymore. This was about all the women who were told they were too intense, too sensitive, too demanding for wanting the bare minimum. Respect. Honesty. Consistency. I started writing again. For real this time. Not just blog posts. A book. A memoir. Maybe. Or an essay collection. Whatever you want to call it. I was putting it down. All of it. The manipulation. The silence. The resurrection. Every draft felt like an exorcism. And I didn't ask for permission. Not from him. Not from anyone. I hired a writing coach. Submitted pitches. Built something from the ashes without pretending the fire hadn't happened. Then the producer from the docuseries followed up. They wanted to feature my story. Fully. Not just a quote. A full episode. They offered a modest honorarium and the promise of complete editorial control. I said yes, because I'd already lost everything once and found myself in the ruins. There was nothing left to fear. 2 months later, the episode aired. Quietly. No drama. Just 30 minutes of truth, gently told, no sensationalism. And you know what happened? Nothing burned down. No angry calls, no lawsuits, just peace. Liam, as far as I knew, had moved on. Last I heard, he was living out of a rental in Sedona, trying to rebrand as a spiritual minimalist. Whatever. Me, I was thriving. Not Instagram thriving. Real life thriving. Some days were still messy. Some nights, I still woke up sweaty from dreams I couldn't explain. But I was rooted. Clear. Fully in my own skin again. One morning, while I was sketching at a cafe, a woman approached me. She looked nervous. Said her name was Claire. Said she'd recognized me from the docuseries. "Thank you," she said, "for telling the truth, for not sugarcoating it." We sat. Talked for a bit. She told me about her ex. About how she lost years walking on eggshells. About how ashamed she felt that it took her so long to leave. I looked her straight in the eye and said, "That shame isn't yours. That's theirs. They built the mess. We just kept sweeping." She cried, right there, and I held her hand. Not because I had the answers, but because I'd once needed someone to say the same to me. And now I was that someone.